This is so awesome that you guys are supporting so many businesses around here. I love listening to you guys. Every other week you have someone new on. I learn something new about our town, about the businesses, and just our culture in general. So you guys are doing an amazing job keeping us informed. Thank you.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
And now it's time for everybody's favorite podcast, Meet Us on Main Street with Tia and Stacy.
All right. Hello and welcome to this month's edition of Chamber Chatter on Meet Us on Main Street podcast. We are doing our Chamber Chatter episode, which is everything Dunedin Chamber of Commerce related. We talk to chamber members. We talk about upcoming chamber events. We sometimes talk about past chamber events. We talk about chamber news. Basically, if you're a chamber member of the Dunedin Chamber of Commerce, this is your episode. So today on the show, we have Alan McHale of the Scottish American Society. Welcome, Alan. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And you are the president of the Scottish American Society, correct?
That's correct. For my sins, I've been president since March of this year.
Yes, just the perfect time to become president right when COVID hit, huh?
I didn't see it coming. I was half asleep when that happened, and it just happened at the best time of the year to get started with a non-profit, with a whole calendar in front of us that was literally ripped up the following day. So yeah.
Jeez.
I haven't bought any lottery tickets since because I know my luck's not in.
Yeah,
Smart.
that's
Yeah.
very smart. So tell us a little bit about the Scottish American Society.
Okay. Well, the Scottish American Society has been in existence in Dunedin now for about 40 years. This is our 40th year this year. It was originally created as a social club. When it was first created, they used to meet in someone's kitchen, the original members, and they realized that there was enough interest in and around Dunedin for them to start looking for a building. So they raised the money and they found the hall that we have today, which was originally sited up on Loudon Avenue, where the old government building, Sheriff's Building, was. And it was originally the Little Red schoolhouse. So it was moved back very late 70s, early 80s to its current site on Loudon Avenue opposite the Caledonian Brewery. And just about 18 months ago was designated the first historic building in Dunedin. So that's where our headquarters
Wow.
are.
Very cool.
Yeah, as I said, originally it was a social club, and it had, at one time, it had membership in excess of 300. But over the last few years, maybe in the last 10 years, that membership has been in decline, as have the demographics of the membership increased. So as people get older, they dropped off. Some of the snowbirds stopped coming down to Dunedin for different reasons, or they just fell off the planet, literally. And the membership went into decline. So in the last couple of years, I've been on the board. The board changed, and we've kind of taken the organization in a different direction and become more akin to what we think the community are looking for, and still try to fulfill our mission, which is to foster and grow the Scottish arts within Dunedin, both internally in our own building and through the schools programs in the middle school and high school.
Very cool. And what is your membership like now? You mentioned it was over 300.
Back up to almost 300.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but the good thing about it today, though, is it's a younger membership. A couple of years ago, our business plan was to resurrect the club and to become more contemporary. So we started our Haggis Celtic concert series, and we're now at the start of our third season. And we've attracted a far younger crowd, and people that are interested in both the traditional and modern Celtic music. So that's helped. The other thing that we've done is that we've although our events are still based on Scottish traditions with the Highland dancing, country dancing, Celtic music, we've tried to modernise them quite a lot. And for example, one of the oldest traditions in Scotland is Hogmanay, which is New Year's Eve. To have a party around that. Well, we had it last year with Seven Nations, which is one of the biggest Celtic bands in the region, and they played a concert for us, and we tied that in with the New Year's Eve party, which was we kind of doubled up on it. So membership has gone back to somewhat close to its original or its highest numbers, and it's growing, which is really good. We're really quite happy about it.
That New Year's Eve party sounded pretty awesome too. Like I didn't get to go, but like just everything that you got and for like such a reasonable price, like it sounded like it was really awesome.
It was a very good event, and we've been very lucky. We've heard a number of people that were at the event say that they had looked all around for a traditional Scottish New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve used to be the big party in Scotland. It was only in the 1950s that Christmas became a holiday. So we tended to celebrate the New Year more than we did the Christmas holiday in terms of getting time off and partying and that sort of thing. So a number of the people that came along were really looking for that kind of element, and we certainly produced it last year. We also had people that were at other events within the city, and I won't name those events, who had friends of ours, and they were texting each other, and they all ended up at our party, which was really a compliment to us. So
nice
thing, and we would like to do the same this year, although we're a bit nervous as to what this year will hold for us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe a limited one.
Yeah, we'll probably limit it to a couple of hundred this time.
There you go.
But I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'd love that to be the case, but
Right.
no, not sure it will happen yet.
Well, that's awesome.
What is the requirement to join the Scottish American Society? Do you have to be Scottish?
No, we prefer people to be alive, to have a pulse.
So the guy behind Tia can't join.
No, not unless somebody buys a membership in his name.
I may be in tomorrow. Just letting you know.
That's good. No, membership costs $25, and really, what in members we look for people who are really interested in what it is we do. You don't have to be Scottish. You don't have to be of Scottish descent. You just have to share the interest in the music that we produce and the events that we have, and support us in some way. But we're not. There is no qualification for membership other than the $25 is for an individual, or $40 for a couple. We also have what we call a Balmoral membership, which gives that member access to a couple of events free over the year. And then we have a membership program for businesses, which a number of the Chamber's members have joined us for just under $200. They get the opportunity to get in front of our membership, both at our events and through our newsletter and our social media platforms. So that's been quite popular for us, and it certainly helped us to get through the COVID crisis over the last 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you guys have been doing a lot of, speaking of COVID events, you've been doing a lot of different things and, thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, we're not fortunate enough to have really big events under our name within the city, although we did have the first what we call Dunedin Live, our Haggis Winter Music Festival back in January. And the plan was to build on that and to do it even bigger and better in January of this year. Unfortunately, with the current epidemic, we just can't do that. So we have a lot of smaller events. We've had a smaller fundraisers. We were able to work with the Chamber to feed the first responders during the crisis when they were unable to get the use of restaurants and stuff. And then we've had smaller events ourselves, like the Junk in the Trunk event, which was mentioned on the call earlier on. It's like a big car trunk sale, basically. People turn up and pay $20 and then get to sell off the stuff they've been cleaning out their closets over the last few months. We also
That's what I need.
Yeah. it's been quite popular, actually. We're quite surprised by it. And then we started, we were asked to join a kind of partnership with the Honu restaurant and Caledonian Brewery, and they started the second Friday event up in the east end of downtown. So rather than have that in the hall, we've been doing it out on our patio, and the last event last Friday, that's been popular for us as well. So they're new things to us this year, and they've been quite successful, and we're always on the lookout for something new. But we also started our third season of Haggis Celtic concerts a month ago. First one was back in September with a band called the Brazen Heads from Orlando. And this Friday, tomorrow night at 7:30, our next event is a band from Texas called Real Treble. And they're three young guys that have got into Celtic music in a big way, and we're looking forward to that. And we've got a whole season planned that will take us through to April or May next year. At the hall, though, we've cut our attendance back from an average of about 120 last year to 60 this year. If we can get 60 in with social distancing, we'll be quite happy with that. We're trying to be responsible and eliminate the risk and give people the confidence to come out and enjoy themselves again.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you're still doing the music festivals and the concerts, because I know that all of our local residents do enjoy that.
It's been really popular for us too, and it's allowed us to rebrand the Scottish American Society by, as I said earlier on, bringing in a younger audience and making the facility more use to the community, really. Because we want to, it's a nice facility right in downtown. It was underutilized by our previous membership over the years, and we want to try and build that. And the events that we have, like the concerts, are good for that. We've also got new classes in there for Highland dancing, for country dancing, for playing bagpipes if you're interested, or if your membership are. And then we just heard tonight, we're just about to close a deal that we'll have Irish dancing lessons in there within a couple of weeks as well. So that's hot off the press. We just kind of cemented that one today. So really happy about that. And that makes, as I say, makes more use of the facility and gives it back to the community in some way too.
Definitely. Well, Tia and I can attest to the event space, because we actually rented the event space for our ribbon cutting last year. We did a non-brick and mortar women-owned businesses ribbon cutting. So we had 5 women-owned businesses get together, rent out the Scottish American Society Hall, and we held our event there. I think we're actually the reason you guys have Wi-Fi, because Tia kept pushing to get.
Yeah, I needed a credit card machine and Wi-Fi. That's all I need. So I was very happy when she got that.
We've also got the credit card machines ourselves now, and as I say, we're slowly bringing the organization into the 21st century. And it's things are looking up for us. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming, because that was really good. That was really a platform for us to get Wi-Fi, and we've had a couple of other organizations that have came to us and came to the hall as a direct result of that. We've also had some interest from other communities about it. That hasn't resulted in anything significant yet for us, but things like the county have been interested in our hall as a result of the moves we made following your ribbon cutting. So
whoa, look at that. Trendsetters as always, Tia.
That's it. Yeah.
we like to do that, and so especially when it comes to this show, we always like to give advice also. Awesome. All right. Well, how did you get into being in the Scottish American Society?
Well, there's a couple of different things. First of all, I've been in the entertainment industry almost my whole life, so I've always been interested in that side of it. I came to the States in 2001, and to find that Dunedin not only did it have a Celtic or Scottish name, but it had Highland Games and the Celtic Festival and one or two other things was music to my ears. And myself and my wife got involved with the Highland Games and Festival Committee back in 2008. That's how we got started in Dunedin. And then 2013, I became president of that organization. They're responsible for the Highland Games and the Celtic Festival. And I had 5 or 6 years with them. And then my wife and I left that organization in 2018 and started up just after August that year with the Scottish American Society. So I'm Scottish, as you can tell. And
We thought you were just putting on the accent for the show.
I actually was on a call to someone else today, and they asked me about the accent, and I said, the one thing I can't do is an American accent. I can't hide myself.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do a Scottish accent, so you're in good company here.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's really how we got involved, and I've just kept up my interest. I'm clearly, as a Scot, I'm passionate about Scottish stuff, but it's not about, for me, it's not about bringing Scotland to Dunedin. It's just giving some of the values, some of the entertainment that Scotland enjoys, and just getting the kids involved with it here, because by getting involved, whether it's Scottish or anything else, it keeps them interested in something. Some would say it keeps them off the street, but it actually teaches them a lot of life values. So, but I'm quite passionate about that side of it as well. It's not just about, having a whiskey tasting and or a wine tasting, or having everything, channeled around alcohol. We want to teach the kids some of the good stuff and get them interested in something that they'll learn lessons for the rest of their life. So that's kind of where I came from on it. Yeah.
I love that you said about the education part, because just today somebody was asking me, who is this Sterling? Like, what family has the name Sterling, of why like their names all over town, how many businesses they have. And I was like, well, actually Sterling is our sister city in Scotland.
Yeah.
So like they just assumed that the name Sterling was like one family that owned everything, and it's actually, they don't realize that it came from what our sister city is in general. So it's nice you teach them young about like what things are.
Yeah, I think we could do a lot more than that, a lot more of that, because the one thing I've learned since I came to the States, my first trip here was in 1995, and it was a big deal to come to America then. Since 2001, I've probably made maybe a dozen to 15 trips across the Atlantic, and the world is a small place now. It's a few years since that happened, but in 2014, there was over 100 kids from Dunedin High School went to Scotland. And it wasn't as difficult as it was in previous years to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So, I think to teach the kids that there is a bigger world out there, and that if they really have the passion and the drive to make it happen, then the world is their oyster. So, Stirling is our sister city. It's the relationship is just over 52 or 53 years old, and the city. We're really happy to see that the city have started to work on resurrecting that or making more of it. And I think the chamber has something organised for next month, which I'm really delighted about. But from the kids' education perspective, there's a lot they can learn. About world politics, world economics, all that sort of stuff, and the history between the two countries is quite interesting too. So a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell by the way I speak, I'm quite passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Which
you
is
know
great.
your stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're a real asset to the Scottish American Society, I think, because you've lived it firsthand. So.
You've been there, so that's a good start.
Well, that's true, yeah. I've been all over most of Scotland, although not all of it. I haven't been to the Western Isles but once, and I've never been up to Orkney and Shetland. But I was a sales manager in Scotland for many years, so that gave me the opportunity to visit a number of the places around. So
awesome. Have you been to our sister city?
Stirling, yes. Actually, I used to shop there probably every week or every other week. The Thistle Centre in the centre of Stirling had a major shopping mall, and it was about 25 minutes away from where I lived, and was a little bit quieter than going to Edinburgh. So, yeah, I know Stirling quite well. Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I
So-
can walk around Stirling in the dark. Yeah, it's a lovely city, I have to say.
I'm learning stuff now that Stirling is next to Edinburgh, which is another name you see around town.
Yeah.
So look at it. It's all connected. Thank you.
If you do that with your hand,
Mhm.
Yeah.
all right, on the bottom corners are Edinburgh and Glasgow, and at the top of your fingers is Stirling, and that's how
Oh.
they sit.
Oh, it's like
So
the
you can see
clattering.
that- Yeah, it's just like a triangle, and they're within 40 minutes of each other by train. There's a railway
Nice.
station in each of them, right in the middle of the center, the middle of the city, which makes getting to and from each of the cities very easily.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mhm.
Learning geography.
Glad
So-
I could be of service. Yeah.
Appreciate that. That's why you're here. We actually needed a geography lesson. So
Yeah.
we knew you'd be the best person to give us a quick Scottish lesson.
A quick update. Yes.
Yes.
So, Alan, the next question we normally ask to people of why did you join the Dunedin Chamber? But I believe, like you said, the Scottish American Society has been a chamber member for the past 40 years. So,
They started it.
since you're only 42 years old, I'm not going to ask you that question because you were too young to remember why they joined. But I will
I
ask
guess why you continue.
what do you enjoy about being a Dunedin Chamber of Commerce member?
Well, in spite of what you just said, I don't know that the Scottish American Society have always been members of the chamber. That I think has come and gone over the years. For my part, I was quite insistent on us becoming part of it because the chamber are one of the few organisations that advocate for every business within the city, whether you're in the downtown or whether you're not in the downtown, whether you're a for-profit or non-for-profit. The chamber seems to see the bigger picture rather than focus on specific areas geographically. I also think they have their finger on the pulse for all businesses, which is really helpful. And I really admire the work of the chamber. So that's the reason why I'm part of it, is to help the chamber help me or help our organization, and quite glad to be a part of it. I also like the people that are around it. The people that are around it tend to know what they're talking about, and they know what they're about, and are just as passionate in what they do as I am about what I do on our board. So a lot of similarities between the two organizations in that respect.
For sure.
I can't ever sing enough praises always about how much the chamber can help you and just like knows what it's doing. So I agree with that. I prove that message.
And this is why we have a Chamber Chatter podcast episode.
Yes,
every
exactly.
month.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah,
Huge fans of the Chamber of Commerce.
that's it. Yeah. I also enjoy the social side around it too, although there hasn't been too much of that recently, but hopefully sometime in the near future we'll get back to that.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about some upcoming events at the end of this episode. So if you're listening right now, stay tuned.
All right. So here is my question, which is my favorite of the list. Where would you time travel to? And that's where I end it because it is possible. So where would you time travel to?
So that's a really interesting question, because there are one or two things that have been of passionate interest to me in the past. For example, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. I'm going to give you another small piece of Scottish history, in that the northernmost part of the Roman Empire's dominance of Europe stopped in Scotland. They didn't get any further than Stirling. Actually, Stirling is within 8
That's
miles.
why it's our sister.
It's the border of the Roman Empire was within 8 miles of the city of Stirling, closer to Falkirk, but that was as high or as far as they got. So I have an interest in that particular era. I'm also interested in the last battle that took place in Scotland. It's actually the last battle in the UK, which is the Battle of Culloden, which is in 1746. And that was what they called the Jacobite Rebellion. And I'd be really interested to be a fly on the wall at that time too. I wouldn't like to get involved in the battle itself, but to have known some of the politics. And I don't know if you're have been fans of Outlander, the TV program, but
I've not watched it, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's the end of the first or part of the second season got into the Battle of Culloden, and it's an interesting part. But the real answer for me is, and I don't say this tritely, there's no time like the present. I love my life here. I love my life in the United States. I love what I'm involved in. I've got no reason to want to be anywhere else or at any other time in history. And those other times are really things I'm interested in the passing. But to me, there's no time like the present. And if you don't make the most of what you're doing today, then you're wasting your time.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, not only have we learned geography today, but we've now learned a little bit of Scottish history.
And philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. This conversation is getting deep. We're gonna start crying by the end.
Yeah. I was quite taken on by that question. I had to think hard about it. But
I know.
It's a real
that one
stumper.
gets, it gets some good responses out of that one. So,
So does the Scottish American Society have any future plans that you'd like to talk about?
Sure. We have some short-term, some medium-term, and some long-term plans that are currently on the horizon. In November, our program, at the beginning part of it, November, will just be the tail end of our movie season. We are going to do some movies. We're calling them the Haggis Horror Nights, but they're not all horror movies, and there'll certainly not be any gory movies, because we have to be respectful of our audience. But we're going to have them at the beginning of the month. And then we have a concert on the 20th of November by a band called the Byrne Brothers. And they're from Orlando. They live in Orlando, but they originated from Ireland. And it's a father and his 3 sons. And they're absolutely fantastic. The other thing in November is St. Andrew's Night is on November the 30th, but that's a Monday night. So we're having a celebration on the Saturday, the 28th. And that will be a traditional Scottish ceilidh. And that's where we're going to try and take a really old-fashioned event and modernize it and make it a little bit more higher energy. So we're looking forward to that. And then in December, we have our Celtic Christmas concert. That will be on the 16th. And then we have our Hogmanay event, which is New Year's Eve on the 31st. So they are the short-term events that are coming up. In the longer term, we're looking at Dunedin Live 2 as a possibility, but we're still nervous about that. We need to see the market trends changing a little bit. And if it's not at the beginning of the year, then maybe towards the end of the year. In the hall itself, the hall currently seats about between 160 and 170 people, but we've had a room there that's been used as a storage room for quite a while. So the city have graciously awarded us some money, which will allow us to turn that room into a library. And we're going to put a library and more technology in there so that anyone who's interested can check their heritage and find out a little bit about their own particular history. And then we have done a lot of work on the kitchen in the hall, which will mean that at some point, together with the library, when they're ready to be opened, we may be able to open that as a coffee shop. So we have a coffee shop and library within the hall and open it more often.
A workspace.
Public.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That
Yes,
literally does like, is that going to be the first workspace in Dunedin?
Well, it's funny you should say that because, and I mentioned earlier on that the county had some discussions with us, and the idea came from that meeting, together with a meeting with a couple of our commissioners locally, that they would like to see that, and we would love to get that open as a coffee shop and workspace before they start working on the Gateway project, so that we get some of the foot traffic from there as well. So they are things that are in the medium to long term plans for the Scottish American Society. But the whole principle is for us to open it more to the public, to have more Scottish things and have more of a destination, and to put on events that will actually support Dunedin's economic engine by bringing more people to the city.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're the kind of principles that we're working on as a board.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great.
That's certainly on
Exactly
our
what we need.
plans. We've got a couple of rooms. One's called the McGregor Room, and then the other one, which is where you stored all our tables and chairs and all the nonsense that we had. Well, that's all been cleaned out, and the work has started to create a little library and workspace with a couple of lounge chairs and tables and stuff like that. So with the
That's
Wi-Fi,
awesome.
it'll be perfect. And then, like the chamber, we want to use our volunteers to open it more often on a regular basis. So that's really where our plans sit.
Well, how can somebody find you of where you're at or contact you for any events, or where's all your events at? Like where would they find your events?
Well, like every other organization, we're on social media. So the official site of the Scottish American Society of Dunedin has their own website and their own social media platforms on Facebook, etc. The Scottish American Society of Dunedin is the Facebook site. SAS-Dunedin.org is the website, and all of our events are mentioned on there. For tickets for the events, they're all on eventbrite.com, and they're easy to find and they're easy to buy on those platforms. And we also, through the chamber, we advertise with the chamber's social media platform as well. And we started doing that this time, and that gives a link to the social media areas where you can buy tickets. So they're all listed on either Facebook or Twitter or our websites. And then there's the Haggis Celtic concerts have their own website and their own Facebook page, and all the details are on there as well. So we should be easy to find. Physically, the building is opposite the Caledonian Brewery on 917 Loudon Avenue. And it's a big blue building with a Highland dancer statue just outside it. So that should be easy to find. If they can find the brewery, just look across the road, you'll find our place.
Nice.
Or find our place, and then when you finish with us, go to the brewery. That's the way we prefer it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that's where we are.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alan, for being here with us today. I plan on joining the Scottish American Society myself soon. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually recently found out from ancestry.dna.com that I am a little Scottish, although that's not a requirement to become a member. So
that's awesome.
Well, it's not a requirement, but we love you all the more if you are.
There you go.
And for those that are not, we will certainly help convert them.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate this.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting me, and I look forward to seeing you guys in person sometime in the near future. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So we've got some events coming up in November. Starting on November 8th, which is a Sunday from 11 to 3, it's our holiday dog photos and fun event held at Wolfgang Bakery and Grooming at 818 Highland Avenue in downtown Dunedin. The dog tog, Carol Moorhead, will be taking professional photos of your dog with a festive background for holiday cards and gifts. Make sure you book in advance, though, because spaces are limited. So you can find out more information on that on the Chamber website. And also at that event, a couple more Chamber members will be participating. There will be Loving Tales and Homes pet sitter. Lori Jabor will be there. And also Dr. Morris from Coastal Vet Care will be there. So if you have any questions for a vet, now's the chance to ask them. She will be there featuring an Ask the Vet table. And of course, Wolfgang has tons of goodies for your little pups to enjoy. So be sure to check that out on November 8th. Then on November 10th, we've got new member orientation. If you are a new Chamber member, or if you've never attended before and would like to, or just need a refresher course, we will be meeting on Zoom on Tuesday, November 10th at 4:30. You can register in advance by going to the link in your Chamber newsletter or on the Chamber website. And then on November 10th, which is actually the same day now that I'm looking at the dates. November 10th at 10 a.m., there's a Coffee Break Academy hosted by House of Mercy and Encouragement and Survivors of Addiction. And the topic is Hope for the Holidays. They'll be talking about coping strategies for dealing with stress during the holiday season, which is very relevant, especially for this year with all the added stress of the pandemic. And finally, actually 2 more events. On November 18th, we will be holding our monthly after hours at the Scottish American Society from 5 to 7 p.m. on November 18th. And finally, on Sunday, November 29th, we are doing a holiday wine tasting at the Fenway. So there will be over 20 wines to sample, hors d'oeuvres and music, $45 for chamber members or $60 for members of the public. And you can reserve your spots for that online at the chamber website, dunedinfl.com.
Awesome. And then the Dunedin Chamber Young Professionals have a couple events happening for November as well. So on November 17th, it will be our after hours, which will be from 5:30 to 7:30. It is a artisan district street market. So the participating businesses will be Sonder Social Club, Iberian Imports, the Edinburgh Fringe, and Salon Blanc. And we will be having tables outside. And then we have our before hours on November 19th, which is a Thursday. And we meet at Edgewater Park, and that will be at 8 a.m. And from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., we will be doing some form of a workout. And then from 9 to 10, we will meet up at a local coffee shop, TBD. So just check the Facebook for that update.
So lots of events going on this month, guys. Come on out, socialize, do some networking, make some connections happen, do some business, and most importantly, join the Scottish American Society. Am I right, Alan?
Please come and join us. We would make you welcome.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening.
Yep.
We'll talk to you next month right here on Chamber Chatter.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.